Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Tonight we're back here with Phantom Strider. Don't worry, I'll get to his new one. But, well, got recommended this, so welcome to the top 10 creepiest animated movies. Yeah, prepare to go down the dark side of the animation world. So, how creepy? I'll be real, it's been a while, so no idea, I don't know. But prepare to get scared and, well, if you got nightmares, sorry. Anywho, so without further ado, be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Let's go.
Let's go. When an animation steps into the uncanny valley, or just leaves us wondering what psychedelic, catastrophic nightmare hallucination we just woke up from, animated movies like this can be an interesting experience, sometimes helping us explore difficult concepts or better understand our own darker side. So let's step right into the top 10 creepiest animated movies. For this
Shall we begin?
I'll try and find a balance between movies that are creepy by concept and movies that just look plain creepy. Hopefully we'll meet somewhere in the
design and concept.
What the?
Critic!
Nostalgia Critic?
Phantom Strider! I want in on this list!
Really?
Really?
Sure, Critic. It'd be great to have your
Why not?
opinion.
Great. You give your reviews, I'll give my thoughts on these creepy movies as we go.
Okay.
Sounds fair.
Welcome aboard.
Glad to be aboard. Anyway, on with the countdown.
On with the countdown!
Hey,
It's mine now.
number 10.
First up, Coraline.
Coraline was probably the most requested
that's
on
a
this list,
recent one.
and certainly one of my favorites. What makes Coraline so fascinating to me is that the animators purposely swiped their claws through the uncanny valley continually with their alternate world characters. For those of you who don't know, the uncanny valley basically refers to when something looks realistic, but is just slightly off. When this happens,
basically,
we with
if it's
horror
animated,
and revulsion
really
until it
looks realistic.
enough
Oof,
that we can't
there
see
you
the
go.
flaws.
See?
CG animation used
I think
to
nowadays
focus this
it's more
valley a
deepfake,
lot,
you know?
and we're going to see some of the worst
that.
of it in this list. Normally, this uncanny valley happens by accident, but with Coraline, it was very intentionally designed to look uncanny. Admittedly, the story is relatively standard. Young Coraline is bothered by her current home life, but finds another better world, only to discover her old life wasn't so bad after all, and the second world is a psychotic madhouse. But what I like about Coraline is when we first see the other world Coraline goes to, consciously, it seems like a happier world, but unconsciously, we're picking up on the uncanny valley, and our brains know something feels slightly off. And the more time we spend seeing this world,
It might be because of the button eyes, you see.
the surface. And by the 60-minute mark, our subconscious has managed to communicate to our conscious that this world is wrong. And Coraline needs to get the hell out of there. Sewing buttons into children's eyes, just ugh. It's colorful, varied, and beautiful. Hey Critic, did you have any thoughts on Coraline?
Sure do. As I said in my top 11 new Halloween classics, I highly recommend it. While Coraline doesn't get gory, there's a diverse range of creepy visuals
it gets creepy
in it that
without
actually
going
warrants
gory.
the PG rating. It's not like Frozen where it gets it because of a shoe size joke.
Foot size?
Foot size doesn't matter.
I agree. It's both diverse and creepy with its own unique style. I definitely recommend Coraline too.
Definitely helps. And actually, I know I paused it early, but there is like this one line that I do remember from like the trailer. Like, anytime I see that trailer, they always played like this one line, like throughout the whole thing. It's where the cat goes, "You thought this world would be a dream come true, but you're wrong." Yeah, that line's always stuck. I haven't really watched the movie myself because I really don't do a lot of horror. But that line, like, you know, like, holy crap, this is going to be a really scary movie. And for what we see, snippets, and for anyone who's actually seen it, I think would agree, yep, not there. And they definitely played the uncanny valley well, so good job. I mean, most people accidentally do that and it goes off, but these guys actually made it, deliberately went there and made it work. It goes to show you, huh? Sorry, I had to point that out. Just something that always stuck with me. Anyway, number 9.
Number 9.
What do you got?
Tin Toy by Pixar. Actually, for 1988, this is pretty amazing looking. The CG's a little dated, but...
Whoa!
There was a time when Pixar wasn't so good at their CG. In fact, there was one time when they fell so far into the uncanny valley that they made both kids and adults in the audience soil themselves. You may notice when this thing moves, it encourages a feeling of revulsion and terror in your guts. That's because this guy's not a robot or a human. This little guy is near the bottom zombie section of the uncanny valley, which Pixar has fortunately ever since managed to stay right out of. What we see nowadays is a result of 20 years of Pixar pulling themselves out of this hideous valley of terror. But the idea was set. Disney took notice of Tin Toy, and they went on to help Pixar make Toy Story. So at least the terrified
goes to show you, they learn from the mistakes, so...
It inspired one of the greatest
Felidae
movies of all
and
time.
beyond!
What did you
Critic?
think of Tin Toy?
Well, Tin Toy was made by Pixar in 1988, so it's no wonder the CG is so rough. And hey, the end result was Toy Story, so I'm glad Pixar ended up making Tin Toy. Tin Toy Story, I guess.
I agree. Animation is far better off for Tin Toy existing.
You know, I guess they learn from their mistakes. You rarely see that, right?
Monster House.
Oh, heard of this. Yikes!
Okay, to start with, this
Yeah,
doesn't even
little
need to be a
monster house that eats people.
Just look at that animation. This is from the era where animated movies were just coming out of the center of the uncanny valley, still giving off some of those creepy David Lynch vibes. It's meant to be a horror film for kids, but kids may not have realized exactly why they were horrified. But we're only scratching the surface of the uncanny valley with Monster House. CG animation was about to become even creepier. The story is that a couple of kids discover a house that is haunted and it tries to eat people.
Well,
From there, it's got a lot of the usual standard tropes, but it's got some creative scenes in the process, so I enjoyed it. Hey Critic, didn't you review this one in your Halloween Guilty Pleasures?
I certainly did. The character animation can be awkward and the scenes can move slowly, but the way the monster house transforms everyday objects into nightmares was super creative. I think it's still an interesting Halloween guilty pleasure.
yeah, I know again, pausing early, but... I mean, the fact... Okay, so if I remember correctly, the old guy you saw, he was actually trying to save the kids. See, basically, his wife died as the house was being built, because some, like, children were being mean to her, since the two of them used to be in a freak show. Anyway, so, like I said, woman dies, becomes part of the house. Or, in this case, literally is the house. Perhaps the boiler, if I remember correctly. Anyway, so, the old guy figures, well, I promise I'll feed you toys if you promise not to eat the kids. But that deal ends when a prank goes wrong and he has to go to the hospital because of a stroke, if I remember correctly. Anyway, so with the old man gone, the monster goes haywire and, well, starts eating people, basically. I don't know how many exactly die, but luckily most of them do survive. Well, I think. Like I said, it's been a while. And, well, that's basically the premise of it all. Yeah. I think it's just too bad it suffered from the uncanny valley, because, I mean, honestly, the animation does work for the house, but for the characters, oof, not the best look. Ouch. Next. Number 7.
Disney's A
Oh,
Christmas Carol.
hello again, Uncanny Valley.
You thought Jim Carrey as the Grinch was terrifying. Try turning him into a disembodied, freaky CG ghoul. A ghostly ghoul.
What's my business?
To me, this animated ghoul fest sits rock bottom at the Uncanny Valley. This was such a massive project that they decided to even screen this Christmas Carol in IMAX. Begging the question, who would want to see these ghastly terrors in gigantic, city-destroying size? Every character just looks creepy in this motion capture, from the peasants to Scrooge to the ghosts. And even if they didn't, the whole movie just seems intent on spooking the pants off the audience. Without much reflection on the light moments of Christmas Carol,
no kidding.
the special moments that make it a pleasant occasion. This is one of those animated movies you can look at, and your conscious
And
can
Christmas
register
Carol is
these
kind
are
of a
meant
film
to be
that
humans,
everyone's got
but
their
your
own version.
unconscious is in
I guess for
panic
this one,
overdrive trying to figure
it's
out what
more
the hell
of
it's
a-
looking at,
well,
and why everything looks so
someone who's
wrong.
into the uncanny.
Even the merry scenes are disturbing in the way they move. This is what a heartwarming Disney Christmas Carol should look like, not
Thanks, Scrooge.
this.
Yeah.
And what about yourself, Critic?
Critic?
Did you have any thoughts on Disney's Christmas Carol?
Well, to be honest, I often forget that Christmas Carol was a Disney movie. Not just because of the motion capture, but because it was so intensely dark. They really go overboard with scaring Scrooge as well as the audience. So,
No
good
kidding.
choice, Strider. It's
Talk
a
about
fun pick for the
overboard.
list.
Huh, thanks.
Speaking of Christmas Carol, I think I gotta check out the Muppet one.
Fresh vegetable mystery. Skewering vegetables alive, slowly boiling them, flattening
Yikes.
them. There's something very
Raw?
unpleasant about this one. Like post-Cold War unpleasant.
You'll fry.
There's a very demented feel
Okay.
to how each creature is sliced, crushed, or tortured, even though they're vegetables.
This feels wrong.
Technically, this is
I mean-
PG content, yet I'm feeling slightly queasy just watching it. But it is quite clever that all these macabre concepts are done through kitchen appliances. It's not necessarily
I mean, I
bad.
know it's rubber
There's
hose,
something
but
very
Jesus.
eerie about the way the creatives have subtly interwoven disfigurement and torture into this innocuous vegetable cartoon. It's actually a short available on YouTube from 1939, and if you're interested, I'd recommend giving it a look. It's creepy, but interesting.
Definitely
Hey,
feels
Critic,
like a
I
tamer
don't
version of
suppose you've run
Sausage
into
Party
this
in a
one
way.
before, have you?
Well, I have now, and I have to say I've never felt so bad for produce.
For number 5,
5?
Peter and the Wolf. Eerie silences combined with disturbing, uncanny movements. I can't quite tell if I'm looking at a
Okay,
puppet,
stop
a
motion
person,
feels
or a
really
claymation,
wrong.
and it's all mixed together with this strange combination of live-action footage. This film will hold on silences a long time as the creepily animated characters stare into our souls.
Here.
Look at this
Stop it!
duck. Look at him. I felt
Don't get a
less
shotgun.
freaked out by Linda Blair in The Exorcist than this duck. Anyway, the movie's pretty brutal too. In one scene, Peter silently gets thrown into a dumpster in the slums of an ice-cold city, guns pointed to his face, and we slowly watch his vision fade to black. Once again, the interesting part about this animation is what you feel in your gut as you watch it. Because of the uncanny animation, I constantly get this feeling in my gut while I'm watching that something horrible is about to happen. Like the cat's about to be mauled or a bomb is about to drop. And that
Kinda
duck.
does.
By Jeebus, that duck. Peter Wolf was perhaps intended to be a harmless children's tale, but because 2006 seemed to be the year of the uncanny, if you weren't Pixar, your animated movie had to make Frankenstein look attractive. This one's a really obscure one. I don't suppose you've run into it, have you, Critic?
I have run
Oh,
into it,
can't
actually.
tell.
Although the animation is unsettling, I think it's an overall solid retelling of the fairy tale. It's pretty impressive that the entire movie is done with no words.
That's true. Creepy or not, almost all of the narrative is done through visuals, and I really give an animation credit for that.
Peter and the Wolf. Be real. Never heard of it. Well, apparently it's a fairy tale? Really? I will have to look this up later, because I have never heard of it. Maybe there's a reason? I don't know. Well, we're down to the final 4, so might as well see what tops the list. Also, what do you guys think so far? Honestly, I think Peter and the Wolf was a little too much about stop and go. I just felt off. Anyway, not in the uncanny valley sense, too.
Creepiest Animated Movie is When the Wind Blows. Oh boy.
I think
At
I've heard of
first
this,
glance, this one may look like a young kid's cartoon. I mean, I've seen this animation style in freaking Caillou, but this one isn't creepy and being uncanny or having weird animation. It's creepy on a more intricate conceptual level. To be honest, I actually don't like this movie. Not because it's technically bad in getting its anti-war message across, but because it uses disempowerment techniques I'd normally only see in an NC-17 horror film, behind a PG cartoon with young child animation.
Supplies of milk will be maintained.
It feels manipulative, like it has an agenda. So the story is we've got nuclear fallout and mass genocide here. Yeah, no, for a PG
Basically,
audience,
nuclear bomb.
the timing, the slow pace, the strange discoloration, the isolation, everything leaves a feeling of realistic horror that tends to linger with the viewer.
Yeah, they'll be all right. They'd have been safely home long before the bomb.
Much like Grave of the Fireflies, there is certainly artistic merit to this. I mean, it delivers a strong anti-nuke message with its terror. I don't like how it delivers this to children, but it's there. Anyway, the story is our older, not-so-bright heroes, Jim and Hilda, are in this constant state of denial about their safety. They survive a bomb blast, and we have to watch their world literally crumbling around them and all their hope of survival diminishing, but always blindingly trusting that everything will be okay and just waiting at their house. You know the Vault Dweller from Fallout? I'd take his idea. Radiation or not, at least you have a chance then. By the 1 hour mark, the water is out, the house is a mess, and the slowly unraveling tragedy completely unfolds, creeping up on the viewer with a dark, oppressive atmosphere.
Just leave everything to them.
Frankly, these horror disempowerment techniques do not belong in a PG-rated cartoon. I mean, seriously, watching two elderly people slowly die of radiation sickness before jumping into sacks to die is PG? I question the point of teaching children at this young an age helplessness. But at least it's a reasonable anti-nuke message. I don't personally recommend this one, but I know many people do. Critic,
Again,
you don't have to
depends how you
comment on
feel
this
about
one
it.
if you don't want to.
No, it's fine, Strider. I've seen it.
Wait,
Really?
seen
You
it
have?
when the wind blows?
Yeah. While it's certainly a weapon of the anti-nuclear movement, When the Wind Blows artfully drives home its message.
It certainly does that. And the
True.
third creepiest animated movie is...
What we got?
Felidae. IMDb
Felidae?
uses the highly definitive keyword disfigurement to describe this movie.
Youch!
Press on, shall we? You thought Watership Down was creepy? Well, this
Wait till
actually
you
makes
see this.
Watership Down look like Clay-Doh Wind in the Willows. Felidae is an abandoned, unreleased German cult animated cat movie. When you think
Really?
talking cat movies, you
Abandoned?
probably
What
imagine
happened?
charming animations like Puss in Boots, Hello Kitty,
Yeah,
and Aristocats.
fortunately,
Well,
no.
Felidae says screw you to all those stereotypes and makes a brutal, violent, sexually explicit mutilation kitty cat cult movie.
Yeah.
Imagine Aristocats, except give it brutal murders, religious mass suicide, nightmare acid trips, and disfigurement scenes. Yeah, I can't really picture it either. So our hero cat Francis is investigating the murders of several of his kitty brethren. But soon, Francis uncovers a suicide kitty cult.
Listen.
Jeepers, I never thought I'd use those two words
think
in
that's
the
what
same
he's-
sentence. It's pretty creepy and messed up.
Maybe
to see
they're
all this
willingly jumping
happening
to
with
electricity.
animation I'd expect from
Like,
Aristocats.
What I was watching wasn't exactly a scene out of the Aristocats.
Yes, I just said that, Francis. Thank you.
Thanks,
and we
Francis.
continue with kitty sex, more kitty decapitation. Sure, why not? And then we come to the big, memorable horror show Nightmare that gives Felidae its well-earned spot on this creepy list. Pardon my censoring. To keep this on YouTube, I've unfortunately had to censor a few parts. We get a vivid nightmare sequence showing dead cats on strings rising up as their heads fall off and they're gutted. Then it turns out the house used to be used for surgically experimenting on cats. Nope,
Yep.
done. I'm not showing that. Pardon,
Thank you.
but I think you have a clear enough picture of how
Yeah,
creepy this
basically,
thing can
they were
get.
trying to make an immortal
Interesting.
cat or
This was actually
something.
the most expensive animated German film ever
mean,
made at the
Felidae.
time,
Whew.
apparently costing over 10 million marks.
And they literally
An
dropped
English
that
dub was
inside a
great,
cat's
and it's actually
ear.
quite good.
And not the good
Yet
kind,
no
by the way.
English cast was ever credited. All the voice cast is entirely speculated. There's so much mystery behind this movie. I actually kind of recommend this movie, though. It's black and bleak, but cinematic and at times beautiful. It has a nice narrative, and the English voice
Yeah,
acting is very
sure.
decent. But don't watch this movie if you particularly like cats. They all die.
Yeah.
Did you have anything to say on this one, Critic?
Critic?
This makes Don Bluth's darkest moments look positively tame.
Yeah. I think this is before you got Chaplin,
Creepiest
too.
animated movies. The Adventures,
Adventures
of
of
Mark
Mark
Twain.
Twain.
What kind of fruit do you like the most?
No creepy list can be
what?
complete without the Adventures of Mark Twain. Certainly the creepiest claymation I've ever seen.
What is
and
this?
a good example of combining intriguing with the macabre.
You may make some people
The story is, our hero, Mark Twain, is so disgusted with the human race that he decides to off himself by launching himself into a comet. He's apparently really looking forward to it.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Jeepers, life has clearly not been good to him. So the kids from Tom Sawyer attempt to try and stop him because they're also on the kamikaze ship. And I imagine they also probably don't want him to off himself.
What a view!
It's a strange ambiguity because there's this feeling of
kidding.
glory and adventure when you look at it. But in reality, it's a bunch of kids desperately trying to convince an old man not to kamikaze his ship into an asteroid. Along the way, we'll learn more about the Twain philosophy and meet familiar, colorful characters from history. Like Satan. You may have heard of him.
Hello,
Who are you?
an angel.
And in this, he creates a mini civilization of people in order to torture and murder them all.
Hey,
Pretty
talk about
standard
nihilistic
stuff,
view.
I guess. Despite its cheesy clay animation, there is a sense of existential nihilism to Mark Twain, which, understandably, may be more difficult for sensitive
considering the
viewers to
plot, I'm not
watch,
surprised.
particularly in scenes like visiting Satan. Because, funnily enough, Satan's a pretty nihilistic fellow.
Nothing exists save empty space and you.
But the exploration of animation and ideas happening here really shows artistic merit. And the crazy part is, we're given this dark perspective all through cheesy Play-Doh. From its chilling imagery to its bleak universe, Mark Twain is likely to leave many viewers unnerved. I think viewers would really appreciate your perspective on this one, Critic. Any thoughts on Mark Twain?
Mark Twain is definitely
Interesting.
experimental, but you gotta admire the detail that went into the claymation.
That's true.
True,
The team who
amen
brought
to
us this obviously really cared about the project and put a lot of time in the claymation. It really remains a unique animation piece
Yeah,
to this
definitely
day.
creeps it.
And before we get to number one, I'd
Oh,
like to go
it's
through
honorable
some
mentions.
quick honorable mentions.
Go ahead.
There were a lot of choices for this list, so pardon me if I've missed a couple. Alice,
What's up?
1988. Yeah, that face could eat souls. The Plague
what?
Dogs, a powerful animation made by the creator of Watership Down that discusses the cruelty of animal experimentation. It's a little creepy, but like Watership Down, it's done with a real grace to it. Food Fight. Don't worry, Crick. We're just leaving Food Fight as an honorable mention for this list. All of us have already talked to death about this one, so I just left it off the list.
Yeah, fair enough.
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Okay,
How?
this I've seen,
How
but
am I the
jeez.
only one who found this animation terrifying? Look at these disturbing overlimber characters. That creepy fur. This may have an exceptional story and excellent voice acting, but that animation? Anyway,
You're wrong
on to
there.
number one. And the number one creepiest animated movie is 9.
9.
Forget watching the world die. Let's just start
already
with it
dead.
already dead. Hell, let's have an animated movie that has already eradicated all life on Earth with chemical warfare. The story is
machines
basically
have
that
turned
a
against us.
fabrication machine has wiped out all of Earth's population using toxic gas and chemical weapons to eradicate
Deadly
all humans and
neurotoxins.
animals. Yeesh. All that remains is these 9 homunculus-like rag dolls known as Stitch Punks. And these Stitch Punks have to stand up against a soulless robot that has eradicated Earth and everything around it. 9 is much more about atmosphere than creepy appearances. The bleak, gas-filled, lifeless husk of Earth is filled with empty, chilling visuals and hellish landscapes. We watch the remains of Earth's apocalypse in a bleak, post-war, dead world. Dead, except for lifeless, spider-like, creepy cyborgs, intent on eradicating the last 9 life forms on Earth. And all these 9 Stitch Punks can do is try their best to restore some sort of bacterial organisms to Earth, to get the whole cycle started again. And then we get the fight scenes, or more like losing scenes, because fighting might indicate that our 9 buddies were actually able to fight back, but we're more just constantly watching them die. Ghastly robotic catastrophes start popping out and sewing our heroes together. Main characters can and will die repeatedly in this picture. In fact, the fabrication machine will use their corpses as lure. I mean, seriously, to me, this sort of imagery is real creepy. Just how do you respond to seeing this zombie snake-like cadaver robot?
Possibly with a rocket launcher.
Or an
I go
army
flame
of
launcher.
artillery tanks. 9 is ruthlessly bleak.
I go flamethrower.
in
At least some
visuals,
sort of
concept,
EMP.
music, and style. But honestly, I actually kind of recommend it. It's artistic in its creepiness, giving a message of the importance of heart as well as intellect in true human progress. And despite its portrayal of the end of life, it gives a message of the rebirth of life following after. And within the dawning of its blackness, it gives one of the most important messages we can ever be told.
But this world is ours now. It's what we make of it.
What intrigues
Amen.
me most about these animations is that sense of mystery and terror that isn't afraid to challenge a younger audience. They may intentionally attempt to make viewers uncomfortable, brushing a thin line of discomfort, charm, and fear, allowing viewers to explore darker elements of humanity and discomfort with grace, understanding, dignity, and respect. If it's discussed
Again, it depends how you
sensibly
use
and with
it.
respect, media should be brave and not shy away from discussing darker subject matter with young people. They show our universe can be incredibly dark, but also showing within that chaos and madness, we can find gentleness and serenity. If you can face the terror, chaos, and uncertainty with kindness, empathy, and positivity, you will always carry my deepest respects with you.
And my respects go with you too.
Hey, thanks for your help, Nostalgia Critic. It's always great to have you on the show.
Hey, no problem, Strider. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to hating other things. Until we meet again.
Until we meet again. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Dear on fandom. And don't worry, I'll get to the emojis later. I'm curious about their story. Like I said, that's gonna have to wait till tomorrow. Until then, thanks for watching, everybody. What do you guys think of these, well, animated movies? Cause, yeesh. Damn. Anyway, I got nothing else, so be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.